So much. Right, so good morning. I think I've met already all of you from the previous sessions, but if my memory fails me, then just, nice to meet you. My name is Silla Sepp. I serve as the head of urban data ecosystems at the Finnish Center for Smart Cities, and leading also the work within the data spaces for smart communities work on the open calls. In this capacity, mainly in charge of the governance training pillar. The slides here mentions only governance, but actually today we have scheduled the session to combine both the governance and business perspectives. The session overall is titled Creating the Win-Win Solutions for All Stakeholders in Your Data Space. Why we planned a joint session is from this understanding that the way how you set up the rules, the operations within your data space, of course, has direct implications also how can you do actually business within the data space and vice versa. So we wanted to bring those two different perspectives together in this session and reflect on those different pillars. In terms of today's session, we have a presentation from Ralf Martin Soe, from my colleague from the Finnish Center and Taltech, and he will speak about the connections between the governance structures of how you've set up the data space and most probably also the use case that you're implementing, as well as then what are the collaboration models and kind of business models related to that. We have a short workshop after that to discuss and reflect on your particular context. And after that, Flavio will iterate and present also the use case that we already worked on the last time, both in the business training and governance training. You remember this cycling data space, in order to further go a little bit in depth in terms of the costs and revenues of this potential data space and its particular use cases, and hopefully based on this iteration on this artificial use case, you can also draw some useful insights for your own piloting activities. After that, we'll have some time to discuss, and then we close by 11 o'clock today. Before we get started, are there any questions from your side about the agenda or generally the practicalities? If not,
challenge of setting it up, but yeah, I'm a colleague of Sille, digital governance expert, and I might be familiar from one of the previous session as well. So I'm a director of Finnish Center for Smart Cities and assistant professor of Smart City Studies at Tallinn University of Technology, and I'm joining this session from Tallinn. And I have studied innovation and governance both in Maastricht on a master level and have a PhD in technology governance from Tallinn University of Technology. I've been digital governance fellow at United Nations University and at Stanford, and I have been also advisor to the Minister of ICT in Estonia. So I should know a bit about the topic, although data space context is quite different as well. So what is the challenge here is that that comes to the focus point of your pilots as well. When we talk about data spaces and if you talk about even like on a meta level, like smart cities, the challenge is that oftentimes digital solutions are developed in isolation and ending up with specific standards used in specific cities, but actually doesn't end up in like a smart macro region as such. So we can claim, based on some research we have done in the case of Tallinn and Helsinki, for example, that smart city plus smart city equals stupid region. If you go to examples like parking or public transport validation or doing business as well, and this is the common problem, and this is, I think, one of the biggest kind of governance and also business challenge as well to tackle both on a global level, but also in your pilots, because we have seen that doing pilots in one specific city, in one specific context is something that pretty much everybody can do. But making that pilot scalable and making it interoperable from one city to another one is a big challenge and needs quite some effort. And then this is the kind of the biggest task for you as well. And then this is why this framework for data space for smart cities also assumes that there must be at least two different municipalities from different countries involved as well. Because in the end, many of you work with standards and IC development, and you know very well that if you pick one solution, you're locked in with that one, or you can be locked in with that one. And literally, with some examples here, like either it's parking or transport validation or doing business, we can say that cities have picked like standards that one is driving on the right side of the road and the other one on the left side of the road, and it's very difficult to make those later interoperable. It makes sense to do it early on, and now it is also maybe like even a bigger challenge how our cities and municipalities are governed and how they are kind of what kind of resources they have, because this goes back a few decades that we wanted our cities and our government to be more business alike, and that said that we have planned our cities in a way that they compete with each other. So every city has its own budget. It competes with other cities for having more residents, for having a bigger budget, for having more businesses in the city environment, and so on. But the challenge there is that in everyday life, the borders are not that strong anymore. But we can say that cities actually have quite dynamic borders. If you talk about business operations, or if you talk about the physical borders as well, but bigger cities, capital cities, are growing bigger. And like everywhere globally, so urbanization is a big challenge, and there are quite good studies as well that show that actual physical borders of the cities are not effective anymore, because if you check how the people are moving with GPS data, for example, or how they're commuting and so on, the city borders are different. Where people actually live and work, and that makes it a bit more challenging, because there is like a strong need to collaborate on offering services with close by local governments as well. So without that, we end up in situations, which is everywhere the case. Like some have been more successful with that, some less successful. But for example, we end up in a case that you have very different public transport service for every municipality in the region. And if it's a capital region, for example, usually it has its satellites as well. And if the satellites have different public transport system and validation and so on, it is very complicated, and it actually does not support the goal of having more people using public transport. But there are also other examples that from your cities as well. I'm quite sure that you know the cases that if a city border is a road, for example, then on one road people living are eligible to the schools and kindergartens. Another road they are in the waiting list, and the list continues. And that being said, is that in terms of digitalization, that makes things or has a quite strong tendency and potential to make cities more collaborative. The philosophy under that is a challenging one, and then we're arguing that maybe in terms of pure competition between 600 cities in Europe, there are also other values and other models, like for example, this public value theory that helps cities to achieve its goals with collaboration as well. This is the case for the kind of macro region where you have different local governments together, but this is also the case for the cities, like in the data space project and in your pilots as well, that are from different countries. The question is very often how to scale up your solution to our city, and if you just do it in a way that each city has its own solution in its own way, that's one thing, but then later scaling it up is a big challenge. Another thing, maybe what I wanted to mention as well, and following up the last training session as well, where one of my arguments was that city government itself does not have a full power and full access to all the data that is in the city environment. And actually, it's a very small fraction what the city is controlling and what the city has in terms of economic power. For example, City of Tallinn has a budget around 1 billion, and then the area of physical area of the City of Tallinn has a GDP of 19 billion euros. So the ratio is approximately 1 to 19. And this is what the city controls. Obviously, city has more power against like regulations and so on. So it's not only the monetary means, but if a city is not collaborating with companies, with citizens, with government agents, and so on, the actual effect is way more smaller, at least in terms of global challenges and like climate change and so on. But this is also unfortunately the case in the data spaces and data collaboration, because we assume that there are more players that are generating data that are willing to share those data as well. What we have seen is that, and this is also kind of proven case that if cities have their top-down ideas to provide dashboards, so urban dashboards, challenge is that doing it by themselves, they tend to age quite quickly. And on the right hand is the case with Tallinn dashboard, that one vice mayor visited Singapore and came back and pretty much gave order top down that I want to see the Tallinn dashboard in half a year, and then they like developed it and put it up as well. This was 1 year ago before it was taken down, and now it has changed a bit the focus and is more kind of local for Estonians. But anyway, it aged quite quickly. Another thing is even like the more interesting case is, maybe you have heard about the Dublin dashboard. That was really like ambitious one globally, and so in terms of urban dashboards that wanted to set the standard and combining all the data and so on, and they managed to get quite good access to research grants and innovation grants and so on. But what happened was couple of years ago, or maybe even a year or two ago, was that this dashboard was closed, mainly not because of its merit. Everybody understood, the city understood, it was collaborating with university as well, and from research side, but the city was not willing to invest into keeping it up and keeping it up to date. And this comes to the business model, because very often we see, and this is the biggest risk with your pilots as well, but one thing is to find the development funding, and another thing is actually keep it up to date and think about what is actually the cost of running later on and cost of updating the data as well. And now we go to back to this preparatory action document, which is called governance for multi-stakeholder governance scheme. Later I can share it in the chat as well, that I introduced it in the last training as well, and now I'm continuing with that one. So that was, I think it was coordinated by Eurocities and is a quite good and valid reference material if you think about the governance models and business models as well. And in terms of business models, it makes it quite simple for this data cooperation canvas. I assume that you are familiar to some extent with that one. If not, then I'm mainly reader here, so there's more reference and more information in the document itself, but I do suggest you to check it and read it. And sorry. And there essentially it goes back to very simple questions and to some extent you are in a good position with answering questions related to why, who, and what. But then what gets it challenging is and there I actually kind of nudge you to think about more is the question of how. And this like very often involves planning the resources both for short term and long term as well. So to sum it up as such, and then in this multi-stakeholder governance scheme, we also introduce those data collaboration models. And this is something that your upcoming group work involves as well. So to think about what kind of model you're applying, and then later we will introduce it a bit more in depth as well. But the idea there is that there are different models. Some are very bilateral and then focused on the commercial data, so kind of business to business. Some are focused on the data market space, so like that can involve different types of exchange as well. And then there are service models, and all those are business oriented. Then we know that your pilots are quite focused on the open data, but maybe there is some other component to that as well. But let's say that in terms of open data donation, it's quite unilateral, involves everybody potentially, and I don't know if it's like only altruistic. It can be also kind of service based, that city offers a service, and similarly other services it has as well, data as a service, for example. And then there are also other models like more ad hoc based data sharing, trusted third party intermediary. So this is also discussed quite a lot from technical side of setting up the data space as such. Then there's this personal data intermediary, and then there is this data common cooperative model as well. They are described more in this multi-stakeholder governance scheme, but just to give you some kind of idea, and I think here the aim is not even to lecture what they are, but just show that there are different models available, and some are more focused on business, and some are more altruistic, and some are more focused on the collaboration as well. And this should be my last slide before we go to working with you in the format of group work. But there are also like different forms of different types of revenue streams, which are quite well explainable by themselves as well, and you know those as well. But that's just something to kind of think about as well. That there's a variety of potential for earning from the kind of data space data you have, in the format of usage fees, subscription fees, selling of services. and then also there could be private investment, private sponsorship, and in-kind donations. But what is maybe important here is that in the case of local government and city initiated and city collaborated projects as well, very often the main revenue stream is public funding grants, and this is also very legitimate in terms of business model. So if you think about business model, it doesn't need to involve only the income, because cities are not operating like that, and cities can actually offer services based on the public funding as well, and they can have future grants as well, and that's also something for you to consider and think. And now I see that I'm exactly on time. So if you have any quick questions or comments, feel free to raise your hand or put that into the chat as well. But in any case,